You right, you saucy lot. How's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, right, I don't really talk a lot about Book-Tok or what goes on in the book realm over on TikTok because truth be told, it doesn't get recommended to me. Pretty much all of my topics that I cover are things that I have organically come across on my FYP. So if it doesn't come up, I don't tend to talk about it, or sometimes I do get sent things, which is a massive, great big help. If you want to send me any topics, please go ahead. The vast majority of it, Book-Tok, just does not appear on my feed. However, this was not the case because yesterday I was scrolling along and I saw this guy whose name is Paul from Matthew and Paul right here. He got cancelled by the distributor. Distributor went no, so he was then left with all of these boxes of books. But we're going to get onto it. You might have come across this couple called Matthew and Paul. Now, Paul is actually blind and they have a guide dog called Mabel or Maple. Their account has popped up on my FYP before because they were doing pranks. Like Matthew will prank his husband Paul because Paul is blind, moving things or getting him to like do stuff and he doesn't realize because he's blind. Matthew, I believe, does his own music and he has a load of music available on their store. And Paul is a author, not only an author, but they also have their own like self-made small publishing business. It's called Paul Castle Studio Publishers. So they have their own little thing. And most of their books, if not all of them, are all about inclusivity and, you know, same-sex relationships, same-sex families, all of that kind of thing. It's heavily promoting the LGBTQ plus community. He also illustrates his own books as well.
Author and illustrator with an untreatable form of blindness called retinitis pigmentosa. I've written and illustrated 3 children's books with less than 5% of my vision, all with the help of adaptive technology.
So that's a little backstory into kind of who they are. Obviously, there's a lot more stuff that I just am not aware of. But you wouldn't have thought, right? You wouldn't have thought that they would be controversial figures among the Book-Tok community. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who do not think they're controversial. But there's actually a surprisingly large amount of people who do think they are controversial. So I'm gonna pull you through it. So 2 days ago, Paul comes on and he is very, very, very upset. And he is sat in front of, like I've already said, a stack of boxes. He was already having a bit of a difficult one because one of his books would not be accepted under the name of Pengrooms, so then he had to change it to Pringle and Finn, not changing the topic or what the book is about, but just changing the name.
I had to carry my inclusive children's book, The Pengrooms, and told me that if I simply changed the name, that they could put it in the children's book section. That was all I had to do. I think I did what any independent author illustrator would do with an opportunity like that. I said, yeah, I can change the name of the book, and that is why my book is now called Pringle and Finn. A lot of you have noticed. Now, I guess it's suitable for children's book sections in big chain bookstores around the world. It wasn't an easy decision. I'm very attached to the name, and I don't agree. I do think that the children's book section needs a book called The Pengrooms, but I don't make those decisions.
Now, the reasoning why he was so upset was because the book chain got back to him and said that he would have to go via a distribution company called Ingram. Now, Ingram is highly used, if not the most used. I didn't know this. I don't know anything about publishing or distributing or writing, anything. But apparently they are the top dogs. They are who you go to. They're most commonly used. And Ingram turned around to them and said that they're going to deny being able to use that distribution service because they need to have 10 book titles, at least 10 book titles.
The book deal is not going through. Oh God. If you've been following along, then you know a major bookstore chain offered to carry my inclusive children's books, The Pengrooms and The Secret Ingredient, but that they could only put The Pengrooms in their children's book section if we changed the title of the book. When we sold out of our copies of The Pengrooms, we placed another order, this time with the new title, Pringle and Finn. This was a much, much bigger order. As you can see behind me, these boxes go to the ceiling and they go back 6 rows. If we delayed ordering the quantity that this bookstore wanted, we might have missed the opportunity entirely. So it was definitely a big risk, one that I was really afraid to make, but it was one we had to make. The bookstore chain got us in touch with Ingram. Now, this is the default system that all US bookstores use to place their book orders, and you have to be in this distribution system in order to get into most bookstores. We got on a call with Ingram, and that's when they told us that we did not qualify unless we have at least 10 book titles available. We only currently have 3 book titles. I have 2 more books coming out later this year, but that puts us us 5 book titles away. And in the meantime, we're renting out 2 entire storage rooms to hold the Pringle and Finn books and the Secret Ingredient books. We have nowhere to go. The major bookstore chain has gone radio silent. I'm hoping that they will get back to us soon, but I guess I'm making this video in hopes that it finds the right people. Maybe you know somebody at Ingram who could help us out. Maybe there's something that we just haven't even thought of yet. But if you've already purchased a copy of my book, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means so much. The feedback, the videos you've been making, the 5-star reviews. It's why I wrote the books. It's I promise I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm so happy. This has been the most incredible journey. And I know that sometimes it sounds stressful. Some of the things that I've gone through haven't been easy, but it's so been worth it. And I just know in my heart, all of this is going to work out.
I'll keep this in mind. They do run their own small publishing business, which essentially is doing the illustrating, it's doing marketing, it's doing all of this and that. But they need the distribution center such as Ingram to be able to hold all of these books, which can then be released to the different places. I hope that's making a little bit of sense because I kind of had to teach it to myself. If there's anything I'm missing out, please let me know down in the comments. Now, I didn't realize that people were a little bit suspicious, all right? So I saw this one comment saying, hey, so I've really liked and supported you guys over the years. Please address what everyone's saying. I feel so betrayed as a fan. Please talk about it. Someone else said, they've been way suspicious for way too long. Never have I ever encountered people with so much drama. And someone else said this, their followers and fans deserve an explanation. And I'm just thinking what these two? Surely not. Surely these guys are not controversial. I don't see it. I don't see it. And they then linked to this TikToker who basically just flat out called them out. The TikToker called Julia, who's up here, who goes under Bookish Events Manager, who has worked closely with Ingram or even for Ingram before. I can't remember which one she said. She's flat out calling what they're doing a scam and saying, I don't believe it. I believe that all of those boxes are completely empty. Why are you frauding people? Why are you lying to people?
Hey, I'm Julia. I run the events at an independent bookstore in Shepherdstown, and this is a scam. This is not how Ingram works. We work with this distributor regularly, and it's patently false. These are empty boxes or full of a bad life investment, neither of which are your problem. If this major bookstore chain did this to you, drop the name. We'll wait. You can't, but we're interested. Drop the name.
Bear this in mind. I know very little about, like I said, any of the different processes in this, so I was none the wiser. I was then reading through the comments, and there's a lot of comments alluding to them doing this more than once. More than once. Someone said, I thought the algorithm was just algorithming and regurgitating old content, but you are right, it is the 4th time. I'm unfollowing them. I actually really like his husband's story that has slowly been getting shared here and there. And that's not the only series of events. Why is he doing it again? This is the 3rd time I've seen him do this since last year. Isn't this the 2nd time he's had this issue? He's been called out for this multiple times. The only way he gets sales is from dry begging and emotional manipulation. I'm just thinking well, surely there must be something on his profile. Here I go, clickety-clacketing, trying to get to the bottom of this big controversy. Have they been known for doing this before? Are they lying? And the only other video that I see popped up was one from last year where he said that he had ordered a load of books, was going to give it to this bookstore, and they then turned around and said that they were actually blocking his book. And Paul thinks that the reasoning behind it was blocked because of the theme, because you are promoting same-sex relationships and same-sex families, which obviously is an absolutely horrendous thing to be against, but this is what Paul was saying.
I'm writing with some unfortunate news. It seems the person who placed the order for your books wasn't entirely up to speed on our policies, and we have returned the boxes to you. Please see the tracking number below. While I think your book is very charming, it's just not something we can carry in our store at this time. I hope you understand. If you could process a refund once you receive the boxes, it would be greatly appreciated. We've taken care of the shipping cost. Be well. Tanya.
This is the book. There's a bookstore that contacted me and they wanted to carry my book, The Secret Ingredient. They ordered 2 boxes, so it's 100 books. Excited because that's just an author's dream. Yeah, to have their book in a bookstore. I know, I'm okay, buddy. It's okay. and I thought they knew what it was all about. It's called The Secret Ingredient, but it's about these two penguins, two male penguins who adopt a little baby. And in the book, they deliver cakes to different birthday parties to different types of families. You know, some with two moms, some with two dads. Here's the daddy sloth and the papa sloth one.
But apparently, according to loads of comments, people are saying that they have gone back and deleted the past times that they have said something kind of similar, because there are so many people saying this isn't the third time I've seen this, the fourth time they're deleting videos, and I've never seen the other videos, so I do not know. Some even going so far as to call it pity marketing. So we have another account right up here who has worked within the publishing industry, and not only does he turn around and say what they're doing is pity marketing, it's a scam, like what they're doing is not truthful, but he also goes on to say this whole idea of them not wanting to take your book because it has themes around, you know, same-sex relationships, all that kind of stuff, cannot be 100% true, because he then shows another book which is eerily similar to the book that Paul and Matthew are selling, which is the Pengrooms one, or the one that got changed to Pringle and Finn.
And Paul drama, because I'm jumping back into the world of publishing, because if you don't know me, hi, I'm Brian, the business analyst, who formerly worked at a major publishing house where I spent 6.5, 7 years working in children's publishing on the finance side, learning the ins and outs of the business and running day to day. Because I am sick of, this is literally the third year in the row where Matt and Paul, I don't know which one of the couple they are, wrote a children's book about gay penguins, then all of a sudden some major bookseller dropped the book because it's about gay penguins. How dare they? 1 second. You know Tango Makes Three exists, right? And it's actually celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. This is the book about the gay penguin couple at the Central Park Zoo that actually adopted a penguin, and this is considered a children's picture book classic. And you know, this was 20 years ago, so your Pengrooms books, they're not an original idea, nor would any bookseller or like any major bookseller drop, because this book exists and it's a consistent bestseller. Just trying to get the internet to pity to buy your book that isn't that original, because once again, because Tango Makes Three exists and your concept is not that original because this book exists, and there's been LGBTQ picture book fiction for quite some time, because it was something that we were first publishing more of when I first got into children's publishing about a decade ago, and that was already a decade after this book was published. So stop trying to trick your audience into, oh my god, nobody likes me. No.
Anyway, so I didn't realise that this could create such a divisive topic. But yeah, there are definitely people out there who do not believe them whatsoever. Now, we do actually have a solution to everything that has just gone on, even though more and more people are starting to make videos about this. We do have Paul, who then came back out, and he said that it would be a really cool idea if we had people who are aspiring writers, give them work, they'll then publish it under their small publishing company, house, whoever, whatever, and they can then present it to Ingram.
Truly believe that we need to find other inclusive voices that want to come on board and become part of our publishing company, something we've always dreamed of doing, and now we get to do it. So whether you have a completed book or something in progress, we want to see it. We want to see what you're working on. Maybe you'd be a good fit. Inclusivity will be a priority. And you watching this, you're going to be a part of it too. You're going to be part of the selection process. You're going to see all the behind the scenes. You're going to see this whole thing come to life. So since we'll be acting as the publishing company, we are going to have to make a financial investment in these 5 new titles. The best way to support us is probably just to make sure that you've ordered one of my books. You can order The Secret Ingredient, Pringle and Finn. You can even get the Pengrooms original dust jacket for Pride Month.
However, this was never needed because they finally got into contact with Ingram, am I even saying that right? Ingram or Igram? Okay, anyway, they managed to get into contact with them, and they're deciding to, you know, do them a deal where they will let their books in the distribution system, which will then mean that if they're in that system, they'll be able to be released to a lot more places.
Are you guys ready for this? Okay, we have some big news. Okay, I've never used green screen before, so hold on. Let me get my head out of the way. Okay. Ingram called. They called. They're going to make an exception. They're going to get us into the distribution system. Ingram Wholesale. I mean, the books are going to have a home. And yes, of course, we are still going through with our publishing company. We're going to bring on those 5 other aspiring writers. And the great news is now we have a direct line into all the bookstores all over the country. So this makes it even better and more exciting for the people coming on board with us. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been a bit of an emotional few days, and I just want to thank you for supporting us. This is going to be so exciting. We did it!
Now, is it true that by them, in some people's words, you know, pity marketing or whatever, is that by them doing that, were they able to make a hell of a lot more sales? Probably, yeah, because people will feel bad. They'll then want to order, like a lot of people are saying, where they've done it before and people have then taken it in. I've even seen videos where you have some people who have bookshops who are saying, you know, oh, I'll take in as many copies as I can, you know, people trying to help them out. I can't say 100% whether or not I think they're scamming, because honestly, I had never seen the other videos that allegedly got deleted. There's a lot of people making a lot of commotion about it. But what I will say is that I cover Cake Talk a lot, which is what I'm going to get back onto tomorrow, I promise. I cover Cake Talk a lot, and the Cake Talk community are ruthless, are unforgiving as hell. And I feel like the Book-Tok community is actually kind of similar. Am I right? Am I a little bit right? Because like Cake Talk's completely mental, but I kind of feel like the Book-Tok community might also have a little bit of a sting in its tail towards certain things. So we will see where this goes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.